law and Supreme Court practice. You entered Harvard College at age 16 and graduated summa cum laude in mathematics and magna cum laude from Harvard Law School. National champion and teacher of debate, inventor of the modern flow system of recording arguments, celebrated scholar and professor, you have given us the masterful treatise on constitutional law, American constitutional law, a work stunning in its sweep and substance. Fiercely independent, marching to no other drum but your own, you have been in the vanguard of the nation's struggle for civil liberties, bridging the practical and legal worlds. The late Erwin Griswold, former Dean of Harvard Law School and former Solicitor General of the United States, said, "Professor Tribe has had a greater impact on constitutional law than anyone in the country's history who has not been a member of the U.S. Supreme Court." Lauded also as poet, painter, philosopher, and pragmatist, you have used your formidable intelligence and exquisite eloquence in the deep and devoted service of law and learning.
Lawrence Henry Tribe, a principal influence on American constitutional law, you have helped shape a society and a world grounded in democracy, freedom, equality, and the rule of law. By virtue of the authority vested in me by New York University, I take great pleasure in conferring upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to ask Larry Tribe to say a few words on behalf of the honorary degree recipients.
President Sexton, Provost McLaughlin, Professor Dorson, Mom, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great privilege to address you this morning on behalf of today's honorary degree recipients, and a special privilege to do so here in Yankee Stadium's final season, given that I have been an avid Red Sox fan for the past 50 years. If the walls of this historic stadium could talk, what a tale they would tell. Imagine the stories in streaming video. 37 of the 84 World Series. Babe Ruth's winning home run in April 1923, sadly defeating the Red Sox. Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, defeating Adolf Hitler's prizefighter Max Schmeling in June 1938. Muhammad Ali defeating Ken Norton to defend his heavyweight crown in September 1976. The great rally for Nelson Mandela on June 21, 1990, upon his release from decades in prison in South Africa's Robben Island. Billy Joel's rock concert here the next day. The sold-out concerts of U2 in '92 and Pink Floyd in '94. The memorial service in September 2001 for the victims of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. The masses celebrated here by Popes Paul VI, John Paul II, and Benedict XVI. To your grandchildren, today's ceremony will be part of the historic panorama I see in my mind's eye. But what is essential, as the little prince reminds us, is invisible to the eye. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What gives this place, this occasion, their beauty, are things unseen. Its history, our history. One runs the risk of weeping a little if one reflects deeply on what that history has meant for those who are here and for those of your classmates and your family and friends who have been taken from us in Iraq or in Afghanistan or on the streets of our cities since you first came to NYU. And so I ask you to reflect for a moment on the unique trajectory of life's events that has brought you to this time and place, and to think for a moment about the path that lies ahead. The great American poet Billy Collins painted what is for me an indelible picture of the past and the future when he called it nothing but an only child with two different masks. The cap and gown you wear today symbolizes those masks. As I reflected on what we five honorands have in common, the similarities that struck me initially were superficial ones. Each of us is an immigrant to the United States. Each of us hails from the humanities as opposed to the sciences. Each of us is over 40, some of us way over 40. What struck me on further reflection, though, was a deeper commonality. Great good fortune, what most would call lucky breaks. To come to this place today, Thomas Bergenthal, who calls himself the lucky child, was fortunate enough to have what it took to survive the concentration camps at Auschwitz and Sachsenhausen. Michael J. Fox is lucky that he has the constitution required to wrestle daily with the challenge of Parkinson's disease. Indra Nooyi is fortunate to have the intellect and personality needed to crash through and remain above a thick glass ceiling to master an American corporate environment without sacrificing her culture, her gender, or her motherhood. Ngugi wa Thiong'o had to endure colonial rule, transcend political imprisonment, and survive a violent and brutal physical attack on himself and his wife in Kenya just 5 years ago. An ideologically motivated attack threatening political liberty and exemplifying worldwide violence against women. And I had the good fortune to survive a childhood as a Jewish refugee in war-torn Shanghai, with my father interned for most of World War II in a Japanese concentration camp, as my mother and I fended for ourselves under the brutal Japanese occupation.